Hello guys, Michael from Vtune. Today we're just going to bring you a bit of an episode on why your intake sucks or doesn't suck. So today we've had a customer's car come in. We're tuning it to stage 2 plus. Basically we did some road logging and testing after we've loaded in our custom Vtune, and we found that basically the intake wasn't producing the results we wanted. Now the way that we got to diagnose that issue was when we're logging, we take a bunch of data from these cars, timing, fueling, and we also rely on boost and the MAF readings. Now, because we've done lots of these, we generally know where the MAF reading should be. On this car, it was down. So now we've got to diagnose and find out what's going wrong and why we're having these results that are lacking. And in this case, why this intake sucks. So from a troubleshooting perspective, we started looking at the air intake and where we're getting this restriction from. Now, to give you a good idea, intakes are not really something you can just fit and forget about. You still got to maintain them just like the rest of the engine. If you don't maintain it, things go wrong. So to start with, we've pulled off this nice little canister that's over the foam filter here. And as you can see, there obviously seems to be components missing. This nice little rubber inlet, you could call it, should have some sort of plastic duct in there, because at the moment, as we start having the turbo spool up and pulling in through that air, she closes up. On further inspection, we also find this foam filter. Now, this filter obviously has not been maintained. You can see it's cracking here, the foam is actually falling apart. It's past its use by date to start with. Just falling apart. The next step we've also found through the diagnostic process is this silicone inlet has gone soft. Probably due to age, could also be due to the size of it. It's very soft to the point that I can just squeeze that like that. Now, think of it this way, that turbo is going to be sucking at a far stronger rate than my hand's putting that pressure at the moment. So when that turbo starts going through the building its boost, it hits the higher RPMs, eventually you max out that silicone hose, she closes up. Again, choking the turbo. Now, in the road logging, as I said, we found that when we hit certain RPMs, we were noticing a flat spot on the MAF would max out. So this is an example of why this intake doesn't suck, but does suck at the same time. Now, we'll show you how you can fix this problem. Just give me 1 sec, Shazam. Now, as you can see already, the difference in the design between the two intakes. For starters, we've gone for a one piece all the way through. So now you have no silicone joiners like the other intake that can slip off, fail at all. We've also, for the inlet to the turbo, we've changed the sizing. Instead of having one big elbow that can, I guess if it ever does become soft, suck in and close and cause restriction, nice little short setup. And see, like that ain't gonna close up. When this goes onto the intake and onto the turbo, the spot that it literally has exposed where there's no metal in there is so small it's impossible for it to close under boost. On top of that, we've gone for a different filter design. So unlike the intake we've shown you before, which has an enclosed housing to start with, it already kind of restricts it. You only have the one suction point, which is from the front of the grille. And realistically speaking, that's not that big. This 360 degrees worth of suction power happening right here. Fitment wise, we'll have to show you how it looks. So as you can see over here, we've relocated the filter over here. There's no shrouds or anything around it. So now we've got complete suction of this area here. As you can see, there is no heat shield. We've done back-to-back testing, and while the car's moving, heat soak isn't really an issue. We've also got this motor mount point here. So now with the engine, as it rocks back and forth, the intake will now move with it rather than a lot of intakes that bolt to the battery tray and stay static. And over here, which you really can't see, we've got that nice little short silicone piece that under boost will not close up under pressure. Bam! Now that's it. See you next week.